Hey, what's up guys, I'm Sami and today we're taking a look at the new LG G6 and what was arguably the best smartphone of 2016, the Google Pixel. Now, we've seen a lot of awesome new developments with the G6 and I think there's going to be a lot of you guys wondering which of these two smartphones you should go for or if you should upgrade from the Pixel. But before we do get into everything, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on if you haven't already, but with that, here we go. So, for the sake of simplicity, this comparison is going to cover both the Pixel and the Pixel XL, and while we're on that topic, let's talk about the screen. The big selling point with the G6 this year was its screen because they actually managed to fit a beautiful 5.7-inch screen into that compact form factor. It's actually smaller than a lot of the other smartphones with a smaller display, which is absolutely crazy to see, and that obviously comes with those super thin bezels on all four sides and also those curved edges, which I think are a nice touch that flows really well. Now, as for the Pixel, it's a completely different story because while you do get a great screen, those bezels are just way too big. It would have been fine if those bezels served a function, but even more of the screen is taken up by the software buttons, which can make it feel really restrictive. All of that said though, it does still get points for being a vibrant display that is actually quite nice to use. Going back to the G6 screen though, it has a lot more going for it since they actually stretched out the screen to 18:9 and 2880 by 1440 rather than 16:9 which the Pixel is on, and that gives it a bunch of advantages in daily use. For example, you're now getting two perfect squares which make it great for multitasking work, and that extra screen real estate is actually put to pretty good use in certain LG apps like the camera app. So speaking of the camera, the playing fields level out a little bit more here because while the G6 has an awesome camera, the Pixel is still the clear winner for both selfies and rear-facing shots. That's thanks to the new technologies Google were able to pack into the Pixel, alongside the software updates that they did to bring the Pixel up to par and even exceed pretty much every other smartphone available right now. That said, both are going to be great, and even the G6 is going to stun you in taking pictures and recording video since it actually handles 4K video better than the Pixel. As for specs, it's actually a little bit disappointing with the G6 because while this is a 2017 smartphone, it's still running on a Snapdragon 821 processor, and considering how you always expect bigger and better numbers, this was a bit of a letdown. Both phones are going to be nice and snappy since they run on almost the same specs, but the Pixel will outperform the G6 since it isn't running on any special skins, it's just the core stock Android experience, which I honestly think is going to be a little bit better all things considered. Now, don't get me wrong though, the G6 running on the 821 definitely isn't a bad thing, but it's not really a speed improvement, which is, as I said, a little bit disappointing. Both phones will be nice and fast to use for as long as you have them though, so it's still good. Now, the G6 swings in the lead by a long shot when you consider water and dust proofing because while Google doesn't offer any of that, the G6 is among the best in class for it, which is absolutely great. You will have no concerns using the smartphone in almost any condition, which is definitely something we should all expect from all new smartphones, especially in 2017. I have to say that even though the Pixel was released last year, it's still disappointing that they weren't able to give it that official stamp of approval for water and dust proofing. In terms of overall build quality and design, I think most people are immediately going to go for the G6 just because it has a more lively design, but in my own opinion, I've always thought that the Pixel is a great looking smartphone with the exception of that horrible chin of course, but this really does come down to your own personal preference, and even though I do like the Pixel's design, I still feel like the G6 is a bit better because of that amazing screen that I just can't get enough of. And lastly, the G6 falls behind a little bit with storage because in most regions it only comes with 32GB of onboard storage, which this year is quite bad, but you can expand that up to 2TB with an SSD if you can even find one that big. I don't think they make them. The Pixel though comes with 64 or 128, so well ahead of the G6 there, and you really do need 64GB if you want to be carefree in the world of modern Play Store apps and photos and all that stuff, so it's pretty good. So at the end of the day, both of these smartphones are actually really close matches, and it comes down to what you prefer and need in a smartphone. If you ask me, I'd go with the G6 simply because design means so much to me, and that screen is just way too good. I don't know, does anyone not love it? For me personally, cameras and things like that do matter as well, but the loss in quality you get moving from the Pixel to the G6 isn't that big, so I think it's worth making that compromise, and overall I think the G6 is the better smartphone. But guys, that's going to be it for my video on the LG G6 and Google Pixel. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to slap that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, and with that, I'm out. Peace.